Back ratio. Percent gross income to pay all debt payments and housing. Two of the ratios used in assessing a person's or entity's credit risk are the front ratio and the back ratio. The front ratio is the percent of gross income spent on housing expenses. A person makes $3,000 per month, has $300 per month in credit card bills, $600 in a car payment, and rent of $1,500 per month. The front ratio is $1,500 divided by $3,000, or 50%. The back ratio is the percent of gross income used to pay payments on all debt. So the back ratio is, parentheses, 1,500 plus 300 plus 600 parentheses, divided by 3,000, which equals 2,400 divided by 3,000, which equals 80%. The two ratios, front ratio and back ratio, are used to help assess the risk level of borrowers. Eviction. Removing a tenant from a rental property. Eviction is removing a tenant from a rental property. There are different types of evictions: constructive eviction, good cause eviction, no-fault eviction, and retaliatory eviction are a few. Constructive eviction is when a landlord does something or doesn't do something that results in illegally evicting a tenant, like turning off the water to a property or not fixing a leak in the roof, making it uninhabitable. A good cause eviction is one for a legal reason, like the tenant didn't pay rent. A no-fault eviction is one for reasons that are legal but have nothing to do with the tenant, like the landlord wants to sell the property. A retaliatory eviction is what it sounds like. The landlord gets rid of the tenant as a payback for some behavior the landlord found offensive, usually a tenant complaint, and of course a retaliatory eviction is illegal. Eviction is removing a tenant from a rental property. Department of Veteran Affairs, DVA, promotes home ownership to veterans via loan guarantees. The Loan Department of Veteran Affairs, DVA, is the organization at both the state and federal level of government who promotes home ownership to veterans through guaranteeing loans made by others and through the CalVet program at the state level. The DVA is not a lender, but like FHA, guarantees loans made according to their conditions in case of default. The CalVet program is a special program where the state actually buys the home the veteran wants to buy and sells it back to him or her using a land contract with better-than-industry terms. The Department of Veteran Affairs, DVA, is a government organization who promotes home ownership to veterans through guaranteeing real property loans to veterans. Sole proprietorship. Business owned and operated by one individual. A sole proprietorship is a business owned and operated by an individual person. Contrast this with a partnership, a business owned and operated by two or more individuals. Or with a corporation, a business that is an entity unto itself. A sole proprietorship files taxes as part of the individual's annual taxes. A corporation files its own taxes, separately from all owners. A sole proprietorship could not be listed on a stock exchange, for example, because stock represents many owners. A sole proprietorship is a business owned and operated by an individual. Energy efficient mortgage, EEM. Property loan with money or making home energy efficient. Property loan with money for making home energy efficient. An energy-efficient mortgage is a loan for real property including money for energy-efficient windows, energy-efficient systems like air conditioning and heating, energy-efficient appliances, and other aspects that can make a home more energy efficient. The purpose of the mortgage is to offer incentives and focus homebuyers on making homes more energy efficient. Tender. To offer. To, quote, tender, end quote, is to make an offer. The buyer will, quote, tender, end quote, her offer to the seller. To tender is to offer. Waiver. Voluntarily giving up a right. Within a bilateral contract, parentheses, an agreement for a promise, end parentheses, both parties have rights. A party may waive one or more of her rights. Voluntarily giving up or refusing a right within a contract is called a waiver. Failure to take advantage of rights under a contract is also a waiver. If a time limit is placed on inspecting a property, for example, and the time limit is allowed to pass, and no inspection has been performed, then the right to inspect has been waived. A waiver is voluntarily giving up or refusing a right. Fair market value. Price a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay a willing seller. The fair market value is the price that a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay a willing seller. The point of an appraisal is to determine market value or fair market value. We need the buyer to be ready, willing, and able to determine the value at which a transfer would occur. If these three conditions are not present, the buyer will not buy at the optimum price. Likewise, if a seller were forced to sell, this would change the dynamics of the transaction. Fair market value is the price a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay a willing seller. Synonyms: market value. Execution sale. Court-ordered sale of real property to pay a judgment. An execution sale is a court-ordered sale of real property to pay a monetary judgment. The process may go like this. One person, parentheses, the plaintiff, end parentheses, sues another, parentheses, the defendant, end parentheses. The plaintiff files a lis pendens on the property of the defendant in case he wins and needs the properties to pay for the judgment. The lis pendens is a notification that there is a pending court case possibly affecting the property, so the conveying of such property is restricted. The lis pendens is an encumbrance. The plaintiff wins, and the judge orders the defendant to pay a sum that requires the selling of the property to pay the judgment. The judge orders the sale of the property, parentheses, called an execution sale, end parentheses, and for the proceeds to go to the court to be transferred to the plaintiff to cover the judgment. An execution sale is a court-ordered sale of real property to pay a monetary court judgment. Prepayment penalty. Financial penalty for paying off a loan early. A prepayment penalty is a required fee to pay off a loan early. A possible legitimate reason for a prepayment penalty is that oftentimes loan companies will make a loan for little or no fee. Since there is always a cost to making a loan, the company is betting on getting back what it spent to make the loan over time. Therefore, it might be reasonable to see a prepayment penalty if a 30-year mortgage were to be paid off within, say, 2 years.